Hi everybody. Church here, Manic Vandals. Along alongside most of the time, uh, Gigantic Mean.
Hey everybody.
Yeah, I guess technically you only missed one of these, so I should give you the benefit of the doubt and just say with me always, Gigantic Mean.
No, hold it against him forever.
Yeah,
Yeah, there you go.
yeah. Hey, you missed episode like 7, and we're on like 7,500. Um. And we have our limited expert aficionado. I feel you in your room with us today.
Hey, everybody. How's it going?
Yeah, and today he's gonna give us his. I'm not to be honest, I'm not exactly sure what he has in store, but we got some goodies for you today.
Oh, it's a surprise.
Yeah, so yeah, if you want, you can just get the ball rolling here.
Yeah. Well, okay. So as the limited expert of the group, because Crimson Vow is now just about at the end. I think there's 2 days left until the new set comes out. Um, I feel like I learned a lot about myself and about my capabilities of being a Magic player in this from this set. So I think it's a strange time in my life at this current moment because I actually think during the next set I'm gonna have to take a brief pause from playing too much. But I mean it's fine. That's how life works. I am an artist and I have a solo art show coming up.
Good for you.
But thanks. But yeah, so I learned a lot, and I feel like I sort of validated the time invested because I kind of showed the proverbial idea of going infinite in limited. I think is like one of those like sort of benchmarks that a lot of people, tend to maybe care about a little too much sometimes. But I do think it still feels good if you can ever like prove to yourself that it's actually possible.
Right.
I'd say more than getting mythic every month, going infinite is actually more valuable because it's monetarily valuable, and getting into mythic really just gets you entered into certain tournaments, and I mean, those are kind of fickle and hit or miss, and a lot of times there are formats that are their own entirely different universes and so on and so forth. So
Right.
um, so this was the first format that I ever played best of three, Crimson Vow, and I went infinite in it. I think there were in total. And now I linked up my 17 lands for the first time during this set after the first like 5 days of it being released, and I think I did. I think it was about. I don't have the exact number in front of me. I think I did 200 and let me see. I figure being official is actually better than making up a number. Let me see.
Right.
I'm checking right now. Let's see. My data. 220. I did 220 total drafts across all different game types. So some of that's best of three, some of that's best of one, some of it's quick draft, some of it's premier. So yeah, so that's a lot of drafts, and all of that was done with the same pot of gems, and I ended up. It's hard to exactly count how infinite I truly was because using purely the best of three, some of like the numbers, like I would bleed gems slightly when I was trying to get mythic once a new month started, all that type of thing. And then I definitely spent a ton of resources during the decathlon.
Oh yeah, I forgot about that.
Right, my fabled 30,000 gems and 4,000 gold on
Yeah,
the
like
the starter deck decathlon event. Oh yeah, I'll never forget that one. But
that's the 12 trials of Hercules, I tell you.
yeah, that was rough. But anyways, so point is, I leveled up a lot. I definitely feel like I sort of proved myself. I don't feel like I'm like, professional level player or anything like that. I mean, there are so many players that are just incredible. But I do feel like I proved to myself that committing the amount of time that I have feels like it's worth exploring deeper when I have the opportunity to do so. So, anyways, with all of that said, even though I might have to take a slight break during this format and not play it as much, I'm doing a list of my limited draft grades. I did not complete it yet entirely. I think I'm in red, just going in Wooburg order. So I'm in the middle of red right now. It's not really taking me that long, but I just started it today. And then my goal with these is to sort of cross-reference like what my thoughts are on cards compared to other like leading people that like content creators that give out their draft grades, just to see like where I'm at on card evaluation, before a set releases, because all of these draft grades, they end up being either slightly off, or people overrate or underrate cards, or there's interactions that like you're not really familiar with, or like you don't actually get to see until the actual set comes out and you play with it. So I just figured I think I'm ready to try doing that myself. So that'll be something that we can discuss, once the set actually comes out, and once some of these lists start coming out, because mostly at this point it's a lot of people on Twitch going through the cards live, and a lot of stuff hasn't really been posted yet per se. So I'm definitely excited about that. I'm not sure how I feel exactly about this set, as far as just like if I'm gonna enjoy it as much as I did Midnight Hunt and Crimson Vow. I think the more I look at the cards, I think I'm sort of opening up to it more than I thought originally. I think originally because of all like the vehicles and the sort of like very wide ranging sort of themes of the set, I kind of thought it would be a little, not like too complicated, but more like complicated in like an unnecessary type of way. But I'm actually starting to come around to it, because when you start actually looking at the cards, like it actually doesn't seem like all that dirtily. Like I kind of thought it was going to be a very dirtily set. I do think I think the set actually will have a very wide range of very fast decks, but also very slow decks. So I actually think it might be kind of cool. Like there's a lot of sagas at common that sort of like, have you do sort of like smaller things for a few turns, and then you get small creatures at the end. So like certain fast decks might try to get under you before like you really stabilize. Like the ninjutsu based decks, or like a lot of vehicle based decks.
Right.
But I actually think it might be kind of interesting, because what I think is going to happen in this set is that I think what my prediction sort of is that they sort of set up all the archetypes where everything is going to start happening, so to speak, like once you hit turn 4 and turn 5. It's like everybody kind of gets to turn 4 and 5 a different way. And then like that's when like the big fight happens. It's like sort of like a build up, and I actually kind of like that. And I know like not every game's gonna play out like that. Like you can either be like me and draw all of your lands in the first 25 cards. So I'm sure my games aren't gonna go as storybook as other people's do. But I think the archetypes of the set actually seem kind of interesting. So.
Or you could be like me and always be on the draw.
Oh yeah,
that's my luck.
being on the draw 100%. That's a good one too. So
yeah.
No, it's exciting. Regardless, it'll be a story for everybody. Everybody has their own story. Yep. But yeah, so yeah, I'm gonna finish those up as soon as I can, and then we can discuss those in particular in a future podcast. And if the set's out by then, I'll probably try to play a few times, but We'll see. The thing that's kind of cool, and I don't know if it's going to work out for me this month, only because I can't really micromanage it the way I'd want to, but I actually am Mythic already for this month. I just got Mythic yesterday because I wanted to keep playing Crimson Vow because obviously I knew, like, I'm very familiar with the cards.
Right.
I had a very epic win to get into Mythic yesterday. I'm like a sort of like a, I don't want to say a mediocre black-white deck, but it's a black-white deck that has like high power in certain areas, but it kind of has like a lot of really dinky cards as sort of like glue pieces to sort of have it all come together. But Toxtrol, the corrosive, made its appearance in a blue-black deck against me, and
I hate that card.
yeah, it was awesome the way it worked out. See, they were way behind because I had a lot of obviously black, white, and crimson vows like life gain based. So I was pretty far ahead on life. They were down to I think around like 5 to 7 life, and I had about 30.
Oh god.
Yeah, so they eventually stabilized though because they kept removing all my creatures, and then finally it got to the point where I had a traveling minister and a rot tide gargantua out on the board, but I had 2 wedding invitations. So what happened was they put the Toxtrol down, and it killed my traveling minister. My rot tide also had the spectral binding. It's the other side of Binding Geist.
Okay.
So it was actually a 3/4, not a 5/4. So Toxtrol made it a 2/3 on my turn, and then their turn it became a 1/2, right?
Yeah.
A 2/3, a 1/2, and then on my turn, it became a 0/1. So what happened was when on my following turn, I drew a Sigarda's Imprisonment, but I did not have enough mana to exile it. So on my turn, when it was a 0/1, I was just barely able to exile the Toxtrol. So it came back to being a 3/4. They keep swinging with their creatures, and I think they kind of made a mistake because they were like at 7 life, they were like pseudo within lethal range, but they were going aggressive because they were also getting near decking. They had about 10 cards left, 8 cards, something like that.
Yeah.
Yeah, so it was a long game. So what happened was, I only had a few more outs because they had a board of like 4 or 5 creatures, and at that point where they weren't going to win the next turn, but they would have won the turn after. So I had to beat them in 2 turns.
Right.
So I drew a Nurturing Presence. I drew a Nurturing Presence. So because of that, my 3/4 Rot Tide became a 4/5, and I had the 2 Wedding Invitations. So I made a blocker for their crackback, and I did 4 damage. So I had a Wedding Invitation and a 3/4 Rot Tide for the next turn with a Wedding Invitation to make it unblockable again. So Nurturing Presence was the card that won it. Well, Sigarda's Imprisonment won it by getting rid of the Toxtrol just in time because it was a 0/1. I only had 1 more turn to get rid of it. And then Nurturing Presence gave me the blocker to survive the crackback and get in unblockable for lethal. So it was a really awesome win. Yeah, that's exciting. So anyway, so I got, yeah, so, getting into Mythic's cool, and it's fun, and it's nice. So I entered at 34, so I was number 34. But because the Mythic Championship qualifier for this month is going to be its best of 3 Kamigawa limited, so I know that being in the top 1200 for this one's going to be tough, like staying in it. So I need to sort of keep track of like how fast I fall.
What your decay is, yeah.
Yeah, whatever the last month was, I think it was some Midnight Hunt month, or maybe it was the first Crimson Vow month. I ended 1197, but I think I entered in at a much higher number, so I don't know if I'm gonna have to play any ranked. We'll see. but I would definitely like to. So we'll see. We'll see what happens.
Yeah, it's good.
Yeah.
Good.
And then I think yeah, how did the last Mythic Championship qualifier go? So this last one was it was historic. It was best of 3 historic, and
Oh, really? I didn't know it's historic. Oh, yeah.
yeah. So I like usual with these, it's kind of hard to prepare for these because every other constructed format is its own massive universe,
Yeah.
and that you need to be on top of things. You need to sort of know like what makes every deck tick. You need to know sort of like the history of like what cards get mained, which ones don't.
Hmm.
Like which meta decks are the ones that sort of need to be sideboarded specifically for, so on and so forth, just like how everybody always talks about. So like I respect how difficult all these different formats are. So my conclusion was I started playing Is It Phoenix as like the deck I was gonna play. I feel like Is It Phoenix was like the top meta deck at one point because it seems like a lot of decks main board hate against that deck.
Mm.
Um, like a lot of like Rest in Pieces, Grafdigger's Cages, um, Soul Guide Lantern, Tormod's Crypts, cards like that. I would see those cards mained a lot.
Right.
And I think I would say most of that is probably because of Visit Phoenix. I mean, there's probably other decks that it nerfs or hoses also. Um, Maybe like food decks, maybe it also goes against those too. But either way, so I was practicing, a decent amount in the week or two leading up to it because I wanted to practice a little bit more than I normally do for these because usually I just end up playing limited and then going to one of these tournaments the next day cold anyway.
Yeah.
Um, but it was the archetypical 0-3 that I had in that last one. It happened very early in the month. Like you qualified, January 31st, and then the tournament was the very next weekend. Um, so, yeah, the first match I lost. All 3 of my losses, they all went to game 3s. I won game 2 in all 3 of them, which I thought was strange because I would have thought after sideboarding I would have actually gotten hosed further. But the first one was mono. The first one was mono white. And all 3 of the game 3s, they were all, peculiarly stupid in their own way. Like
Right.
one of them, I was severely mana screwed. Um, the other one, it was just like it doesn't even matter. They were all disasters, but they were all very poetic in how they were disasters. So that's fine. So yeah, so I've become numb to losing
Yeah.
big in the Mythic Championship qualifiers, but obviously when a limited one pops up, it gets a little more exciting. So I will try to keep track as best I can with staying in the top 1200 for this one. Usually, I think the best recipe for that is playing as little in ranked as possible, unless you absolutely have to.
Mm.
So, but if I do end up having to play, that means I'm going to have to slightly know what I'm doing, so I have that for all the marble single game that you have to win go
Yeah.
well,
Yeah. That's
which is very
right.
stressful.
That is
Um,
stressful.
yeah, so we'll see.
Yeah.
So yeah, that's
So
pretty much that.
yeah, I had a question. So you did 220, but that was that both accounts or was that just one? Because
That I
you
mean, I mean, that's me across all of the accounts. Yes.
Oh, okay. All right. Yeah, because
But it's me playing.
yeah, but I think that's yeah, I know, and I think that's something that you didn't mention is you actually qualified for the tournament on 2 accounts. So
Yeah, this last one, yes, I actually got Mythic twice. Yes.
yeah, yeah.
Um,
So yeah. I see. I'm trying to pat you on the back there. So that's
Thanks.
good. Yeah.
Well,
So, but
honestly, yeah, getting yeah, I don't want to say getting Mythic is easy per se. I mean, I do think that if you have somewhere in the upper 50% or higher, it's
Mhm.
really just more a question of time.
Yeah. Yeah.
And like just like one or two trophy decks when you're in best of one. Like when you're okay, so if I'm mythic the previous month and you only start at platinum, so
Right.
it's how many games? That's 5 times. It's 40. I think it's 40. You have to net 40 wins over losses.
Right. Yeah.
But you always get that sort of like protection buffer when you drop a rank.
Yep.
Like if you go from like Diamond 1 to Diamond 2, it seems like you can lose that one extra game
Yeah.
before you actually drop, which are, it seems like sometimes it always works out in your favor.
Yeah.
Um,
That's nice when it works out in your favor. Yeah.
right. So
Happened to
yeah.
me today.
Oh, good.
Yeah. So, but yeah,
Yeah.
but I mean, that's an accomplishment. I didn't make Mythic last season, and yeah, right now I'm plat one, but we'll see. Hopefully I'll rein it in this week coming up. But then I'm going on vacation a week after, so who
Yeah.
knows? Yeah. So,
Well, I mean, honestly, I think it's actually a tougher accomplishment to get Mythic and Constructed because so many more people play.
yeah.
Yeah, like I feel like Limited is more like I was watching a streamer a couple days ago, and I think they actually made a really great point. Yeah, he actually this guy he's number one on the trophy leaderboard pretty much. He all time he's the number one trophy leader on 17 lands.
Wow.
Um, and I'm not sure about this particular set or not. He's either one or two. Um, but he made a very great point about how he thinks limited is much easier than constructed is because I think what makes limited difficult is actually the entry. Like, oh, you got to know what cards are good, what cards are bad, but the actual like playing is easier. And I think he's correct about that because the actual games when you're playing constructed, that is where the whole like understanding what every card and every deck is meant to do,
Yeah.
and having to know like the history of the meta, like
Hmm.
knowing what and why people are going to be playing what card. Um, like did this deck like have any slight changes recently? I feel like there's so much more that goes on in
Yeah.
playing a constructed match. Whereas
Yeah.
limited, like once you have like sort of like the overall structure of the set figured out, it's like more straightforward.
Yeah.
So it's like,
Well, yeah.
yeah,
I never thought about that, but yeah, it's like in the in constructed. I mean, a streamer, and it's just crazy. Or several streamers can change the meta. You know what I mean?
yeah,
And it's just crazy how like a streamer will put out a deck, and tomorrow everybody's running that deck. You know what I mean?
yeah,
And it's just I try to avoid some of that. And I think you're rewarded. Uh, Maybe not rewarded is not the right word, but I think the algorithm works a little bit differently when you're playing things that aren't typical meta. You know what I mean? So they may be
yeah,
in meta, but the cards that you're running aren't the same, and I think the algorithm rewards you for that. I don't want to say you get easier games, but you may not run against is it like you would if you were running top meta. You know what I mean? So
yeah.
stuff like that. But that's just me spouting off too. I don't know if that's true.
Well,
It's
along the lines of what you're saying about like how a streamer can change the meta.
mhm.
Um,
Did I
Uh,
lose?
yeah, I think I think his phone died.
Oh no! Yeah, we were having
Uh,
such a good time. You want to give him a minute?
yeah. Oh yeah, yeah, we'll give him a minute.
Maybe he muted it and he didn't realize it.
Oh,
I'm still here, right?
Yeah, there you go. Yeah, so
Oh,
you're
sorry.
talking about a streamer changing the meta, and that's where you
Oh
broke
yeah,
out.
in the yeah, sorry. In the alchemy meta, Jim Davis, he had a red black deck that he went 7-0. He went 7-1 on the first, and he went 7-0.
Wow.
Yeah, actually, yeah, I think it was the Mythic Championship one. It wasn't the Arena Open. I think it was the Mythic Championship one.
Oh, okay.
Um,
Yeah.
yeah, and he had a Rakdos deck that it was just like, all value, all 2-for-1s. Like Town Razor Tyrants were obviously in it, but like a lot of like cards. Like yeah, I mean his deck just destroyed everybody. And that was the one that I did. I did Gruul, Werewolves. Um, and like I just felt like my deck was too underpowered. It was either too slow compared to
Mm,
other decks,
right.
or like cleric decks just got too big. But yeah, because after that, it seemed like Rakdos was the only thing played in Alchemy. Because I tried playing it a couple days afterwards just to be like, oh, I'm gonna get better at constructed. But yeah, so
Yeah.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah,
That's it.
streamers can change metas for sure.
Yeah, they can, and it's crazy, you know. So
Yeah.
and I you get guilty of like chasing those decks. I have been, uh, but the amount of wild cards needed is ridiculous. You just by the end of the format, I'm pretty much where I want to be on decks. But now we're getting ready to start Kamigawa. Here we go. It's
Just
back
in
at it
time. Yep.
again. Yeah.
Yep.
So
Just in time. So yeah, that's that. Maybe one day we'll be the ones changing a meta.
yeah, I don't know. Yeah, may,
The meta changers.
yeah. I'm gonna change my meta to limited. You're making me want to play limited.
Oh well, yeah. Hey, I mean, I don't know what maybe like how you guys are going through the commander stuff. Maybe I can give you guys the sort of the build from ground up limited crash course.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah,
That's
because
what I
really, yeah,
need.
yeah. I mean, really, it's not. It is. It's just an entry level sort of like you just gotta sort of just know what cards are what. And I mean, I still to this day, I mean, as well as I'm doing in Crimson Vow, I still draft with tier lists up. Like I still look because I'm
Mm,
like, if there's like, let's say I'm like on pick one, pack six, pack one, pick six, and let's say I have 3 blue cards and I have 1 red card and 1 black card, and I get 2 good options where it's like, oh, this is an amazing white card, or this is like a pretty good red or black card. I'm still trying to like differentiate like what's the best thing long term odds wise. Like, is it safer for me to move into a second color a little bit deeper, or is it better for me to have the upside pick? I mean,
right.
it still happens. So it's still just like sort of a general understanding of like what cards are good, and then sort of just knowing which cards sort of work together well, and then different decks or different sets have different heuristics on, do you want to stay open for like a bomb that's coming
Mm,
pack 2, pick one, or do
yeah,
you want to sort of pick your colors early and sort of cut your colors so like you get a bunch of like the B- level cards more consistently as
yeah,
opposed to like trying to stay open. So yeah, I mean, it's a lot of basic stuff like that. So you sort of just have to pick up the foundation for every new set and then sort of just take it from there. So,
mm. Yeah.
um,
I didn't tell you, but I tried the what is it the one
double
that's
feature.
the double feature. Yeah, I tried it and I didn't do bad. Well, for me, I didn't do bad. I won 3 matches in the double feature,
Nice.
and yeah, but I ended up with a zombie, blue black zombie deck, and it actually, I think where I went wrong. Well, 2 things I went wrong on: removal. I needed more removal, and then the other thing is I needed bigger end. I didn't have enough, bigger end late game. So yeah, but yeah, it was fun. I enjoyed it.
Yeah, I mean, honestly, getting 3 wins in that is, I mean, that's an accomplishment right there, for sure. Because the power level of certain decks is immense in that. I mean, if you get matched up against a player that just sort of got lucky on like, hitting on like 5 or 6 rares,
Hmm.
and maybe like 2 of them are just splashed in the same color. Yeah, I mean,
Right.
you can go against things that just feel entirely broken.
Wow.
So sort of going into that cold, I mean, getting 3 wins, I mean, that's pretty good.
Yeah.
You did
I
pick,
just,
you picked a pretty good archetype for a double feature because I think blue black, and blue white are the best 2 color pairs.
yeah, no one
Um,
was picking up the zombies. I was like, well, yeah. I picked one and I was like, yeah, I think what was it? Yeah, I picked one and and then it's like everything else was zombies. I was like, okay. And I got counterspell, picked up a few counterspell stuff like that. But yeah.
nice.
My only thing about that draft is you don't get to keep the cards in the double feature, right? You didn't get to keep them. Or did you?
Uh, no, I think he did.
Oh, well
I
then
think,
that's good then. I'm not mad then.
yeah, I think that's why they didn't give packs out in the
Yeah,
rewards.
right.
Um,
Oh,
yeah, like that was sort of their trade off for that.
yeah. Well,
So
then I'm not mad then. At least I got the cards.
good. Yeah, everybody wins. We all win.
Yeah, that's right.
Yep.
Thank you, Watsy.
Yeah, yeah. You're welcome. Yep. I'm a secret WotC rep.
There you
No, I'm
go.
just yeah. No, I'm just kidding. Just kidding, everybody. I'm not. But yeah, so yeah, that's pretty much that for me. Um, I will here actually, okay, let's see. I haven't actually checked what my rank was. Let me check that really quick so I can see
Yeah,
what my
because
trajectory is.
you went up on TikTok as a what did you go up as?
It was 34, 38.
34, yeah.
30, yeah, 34.
Yeah.
Oh, so that actually got posted on TikTok.
Well, yeah.
Hey, no,
Yeah.
yeah, I mean that, yeah, 34 is good. I entered last month. I entered at number 11. I was number 11.
Yeah, you went up on
Enter,
34.
yeah, entering at 34 was interesting because I saw somebody posted them entering later that night, like last night, and they entered at like 70 something. So I don't know exactly how they pick the entry number. I do feel like I tend to get up pretty high in there. So I don't know if there's like the secret MMR that, everybody always mythologizes.
Yeah.
But it seems like if there is one, I tend to get treated nicely with it.
Yeah, that's good.
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah, I think the highest I seated in was like 701. It's something like that, yeah.
Yeah. I do think though, in general, constructed, it's much more cutthroat and it's much more volatile. So getting into 700, I mean, that might be the equivalent of being 13. Who knows?
Yeah, who knows? Yeah. I was tickled with it, so yeah.
Yeah.
But maybe I'll switch to limited. I mean, it's a smaller pool of fish anyway. So
It is. I feel like I do tend, especially like as the format got later on, that's kind of why I actually moved away from playing best of three
mm,
and just sort of sticking to best of one. And then, it also enabled me to not have to play as often anyway.
yeah,
Um, but I mean, I would see the same opponents like a lot. It's like,
yeah.
oh, them again.
And that's probably what they were thinking. Oh, him again. Yeah.
Okay, I kind of dropped a lot. I'm at 57.
Oh, wow.
So yeah, so this seems like it's going to be a volatile month. Now, when I entered actually last month, it was a quick. I did drop off fast in the first like day or two, and then it slowed down immensely. So that might happen here also, but because the set's just coming out, I don't think. I think this is like a you're gonna have to play eventually type of month.
Mm,
So we'll see.
yeah, we'll see. Hopefully it'll hold.
Yeah, and if not, I mean, I'll try to get. It's not even the getting into Mythic that's the hard part. I'd actually say if a new set comes out, getting into Mythic's easier. But it's more once you're in, staying under 1200. So I'll definitely try to get Mythic on the other account.
Mhm.
But I'm actually gonna save those resources for when Kamigawa comes out, I believe,
Yeah, I'm with you on that. I think.
because that way I can sort of get my feet wet on the other account. So when I play on this real one, if I have to, you know, I'll have, more experience, so I won't be going in like on my first draft, having to try it. And of
Yeah.
course, I can play best of 3 also. But yeah, we'll see.
Yeah. And that's like me. I'm not crafting anything new. I'm just holding everything till Kamigawa. So
Yeah. So I guess with all that said, I think I'm out of things to talk about, but I am excited to finish my draft grades, and then I'll do some cross-referencing because I do want to sort of report back to all of you how accurate or inaccurate I was.
yeah.
So
Yeah. It'd be good. I can't wait to see it.
yeah, and then we can post that in the Discord as well.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I feel you in your room's draft grades.
Yeah, that rolls right off the tongue.
It
Yeah,
does. Yeah.
sure does.
Yeah. I
Sure
feel a
does.
little naughty saying it, but
Yep. Well, I still blame Depeche Mode. It's all Depeche Mode's fault.
oh, that's hilarious. Yeah.
I'm sorry, Depeche Mode. I didn't really mean that either.
Yeah,
So
yeah. We'll have him on a guest spot on this podcast
Yep.
a year
we
from
probably
now.
should.
A year
Yeah,
from now,
Yeah,
that's right.
we will. I'm excited.
I am too. I've missed you. It's been a
Missed you
while
too.
since we've had you. So yeah.
Yeah, honestly, the last couple times it was more just like bad timing or like busyness with
Yeah.
random things.
Yeah.
And that's actually kind of what tonight was. Um, but I was actually meaning to get on, but because of what I was dealing with, my phone was dead and I didn't even realize, so I wasn't seeing my phone pop off. So then I checked it later.
Yeah, that's good. Yeah, we're glad
So
to
I,
have
I
you.
got here in the nick of time.
Yeah, you did.
Yep,
So,
yeah.
cool. I love it.
All right. Well, so I guess that sort of wraps this up. Our
yeah.
little check in. Uh, and there's gonna be much more on the horizon. So yeah, everyone will have to stick around, subscribe to get our
Yeah.
to potentially get our Kamigawa 1000 subscriber gift box
Yep.
chosen at random. So yeah. So yeah, that's I feel you in your room's limited status. Who knows, maybe me and Gigantic Mean will dip our toes into the limited aspect once we stop wasting money on commander decks.
Yeah.
So
Is
It
it a
all goes in the
waste though?
same place.
Yeah. Yeah. Is it a waste though? I mean, is it?
It's all
yeah,
worth it.
Yeah, that's right.
yeah, yeah. It all goes to Mark Rosewater one way or another. So it's fine. All right. So yeah, that wraps it up for today, I guess. So yeah, until next time, we'll see you guys later.
All right. See you guys.
Yep. See ya.